The Giants are undefeated to start spring training. What does that mean for the regular season? Let's talk about it right here on Locked On Giants.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Salz. Welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, thanks to you, the #1 sports podcast network. On the show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that combines passion, analytics with the eye test, and a little bit of fun. I'm from the Bay, but I live in Sacramento now, and I host a show on Sacktown Sports 1140, as well as emceeing Sacramento Rivercast games. All in all, I'm lucky enough to cover a team I've been a fan of all my life. Today, we are discussing the fact that the Giants are undefeated to start spring training, 2 games that they had over the weekend. The bullpen starting to look a little bit better, or at least I feel better about it. And we're going to have some fun in the third segment. Build your own lineup. Everyone has one. Everyone has an idea. I'm going to give you my full-blown lineup. And in the comments, I want you to give me yours. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boosts on an NBA future and get entered to win your chance for a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, so there were some ups and downs during the debut of the Giants and the debut of Tony Vitello. Let's start with the downs, and then we can get to the ups. Okay, so the Giants, they did win both games. Depending on when you watch this, they have a game at 12 p.m., so you might be watching this or listening to this while they're playing. You might catch this after that game is done. But as of right now, they have not played that game yet, so they are undefeated. Let me just put it to you like that, straight up. So as far as the downs are concerned, unfortunately, this is a guy that we've talked about time and time again, and a lot of people are high on. A lot of people believe that he could be an X factor for the Giants. And this is going to be a theme as we get to the bullpen stuff as well. Hayden Birdsong. Hayden Birdsong, he got tatted up, as the kids say. It was not a fun outing for Hayden Birdsong. It did not go very well for him. He, I think, recorded 1 out, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he got smacked up a little bit, and it wasn't the best thing to see. Unfortunately, we were hoping to see him, I guess, show some flashes of a couple years ago now, or earlier last season, before things kind of went off the rails. Well, it is not the best start for Hayden Birdsong. This is from Shayna Rubin. Rough outing for Hayden Birdsong. He walked a pair, gave up an infield hit, got 1 out, then left a fastball to Miles Mastrobuoni, who hit a grand slam. He threw 26 pitches, 14 for strikes, and then got yanked. So not necessarily something that you want to see from your young pitcher, especially when you are trying to get his confidence up, right? For him to not even be able to finish an inning. Not great stuff from Hayden Birdsong. It's still early. And you know what they say, hey, get him out early, right? If you're not going to throw that well, or you're not going to bring your best stuff, get him out early. Yeah, doesn't count now. We'll see what happens his next outing, whether that be as a starter or coming out of the bullpen. I do think a good optimistic look at this is if he does seem to be looking more like a bullpen type of guy. We haven't necessarily seen that yet, right? He started that game. Okay, cool. We wanted to see where you were at as far as a starter, and you're still not necessarily there. We can turn that page if you want, and then go on to see what he looks like coming out of the bullpen, whether that be middle relief, long relief, late relief, closer, anything like that. So it's not done with Hayden Birdsong, but I think every time he starts a game and it doesn't end well, or it doesn't start well, it's going to be a knock on how the Giants view him as a potential starter for the Giants moving forward, even though that's what he was, right, early on while he was with the Gigantes. So not great stuff from Hayden Birdsong. That was really the #1 thing that stuck out as far as an eyesore. That's what everybody was reporting on, because that was a big note for the Giants heading into spring training, and still can be. As far as the good notes, okay, from one pitcher who struggled to another pitcher who pitched really well. And I'm not going to take too much credit here, okay, when it comes to the sleeper picks. But y'all know I've been trying to tell you about Blade Tidwell this whole time. He's got a great name. Let's start right there. But just the stuff that I saw from him, limited time in Sacramento, but he came over. I did a lot of grinding the tape and grinding the film when they traded him. Another guy who's got connections to Tony Vitello. I was excited to see what he did. And all he did in his first outing, he struck out 3 and walked 1 in his first inning of the spring. He topped out at 97.8 and showed a really strong slider as well. So that's the type of stuff that makes you feel really good about some of the Giants pitchers of the future. And again, you only need about 1 or 2 of them to figure it out to make this bullpen look much better and to make this rotation, I would say, look much better. The pitching staff as a whole. So great stuff from Blade Tidwell, making me look smart because I've been clamoring for him. And if you've been watching and listening since last season, I was down bad when he went out with injury. We thought we were going to be able to see him to close out the season. You know, they were looking for some spot starts. Kai Tang got back in there. They were really just shuffling some of the names around. I think JT Brubaker, who's starting today, I think he started a game or maybe a couple games last season. So I was really kind of sad when Blade Tidwell wasn't able to pitch, but we got to see him this weekend and he looked great. So it's still early, the same way it's still early for Hayden Birdsong, but off to a good start. Speaking of off to a good start, Bryce Eldridge did not get his home run, at least not yet. Maybe he'll have one by the time you are watching or listening to the show. But Bryce Eldridge did have a double. All right. And it was a double. When I saw the video, I thought he did it. I thought, wow, did he really get his first home run of the first weekend of spring training? And that's all I wanted to see. But it did fall a little bit short. Ended up being a double. So Bryce Eldridge getting some pop in there, showing what he can do. And a lot of people feeling good about where he's at, thinking that he'll be able to hit his way onto this roster. The only thing that I worry about when we talk about Bryce Eldridge starting the season with the Giants, I would just hope that he's getting consistent ABs, right? There's a lot of conversation. You know, there's always going to be a lefty starter in everybody's rotation and everybody's bullpen. They're going to have somebody coming out. So I don't know if they're going to be willing to give him free reign and let him hit against righties and lefties, because I very much disagree with the idea that you should pull up guys, but only let them hit against righties if they're left-handed and vice versa if they are right-handed. I can't stand that, to be completely honest with you. So I don't know where this coaching staff is at with that thought process. I just like throwing the kids in the pool, right? And let them learn how to swim. If he's only facing right-handers, at what point do you then say, all right, now you can face lefties? And then he struggles against lefties because he hasn't been facing lefties. It's never made sense to me. I don't think it's something that was happening in the 90s and the early 2000s. At least I don't recall it that way. It just seems like you're babying the guys a little bit. So if that's their thought process and you're not going to let him hit against lefties or whatever it is, I might rather have him in AAA and let him face both, so that whenever you feel ready for him to get pulled up, he can face both. I've never understood that. So I do wonder if he's going to be able to get enough consistent ABs, because I know he's not Luis Matos, but Luis Matos, he could not handle the platooning. He couldn't do it. So you let him get a couple ABs under his belt and you start to see him feel a bit more comfortable. Sometimes you're not going to have those opportunities, right? And Luis Matos didn't really get them to, maybe it was too far gone at the end of the season where him and Drew Gilbert were switching off between series. You know, you get a couple series, I get a couple series, things like that. And it would have been worse if Encarnacion didn't get injured, because they probably would have been throwing him in the mix too. So I don't know. I just don't love the idea of keeping somebody on the roster if he's not going to get legitimate playing time. This isn't high school varsity. I understand that it's nice to say that you're in the big leagues, but to me, it more so matters that you're getting consistent ABs. So a lot of people think that he's going to be able to hit his way into the lineup. That's great, but I want to continue to see him in the lineup. I don't want to see him, oh, well, it's, they got 2 lefties this weekend, so we're not going to see a lot of Bryce, or he's going to be pinch hitting here or pinch hitting there. I don't think that's how you're supposed to treat your blue chip prospects. prospects and guys that are really supposed to carry the torch for you. That's okay for, lower level prospects that maybe are a little bit older and, you're just trying to see what they can do and you're already feeling like you're playing with house money. But with Bryce Eldridge, I want him to be completely ready when it's time for him to carry this torch for the Giants. And I've just never, ever been a fan of hey, you're only going to hit righties for what, this season, the first half of the season? I mean, who makes that decision? And then all of a sudden, you get stuck and, hey, we're actually going to let you hit a lefty because you started this game. And now they don't know what to expect. I can't stand that. I can't remember which young player the Giants were doing that with. I think it was the Giants. I know a lot of teams do it. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. So I think it might have been with Bryce Eldridge, if I'm not mistaken, last season. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Last but not least, a pretty fun note. The Giants turned a triple play on a base hit. It was very bizarre. The ball dropped. Somebody got caught between first and second. Other guys got caught between second and third. There were two runners at third. And then after the Giants tagged one of the runners, I guess the other runner didn't know he was safe or out. So he gets out. So the Giants, first weekend of spring training, turn a triple play. So a very good weekend for Tony Vitello and the crew. Like I said, mostly ups, a couple downs as well. But the Giants are off to a good start, and it's nice to see them score 10. They won that first game after going down 5-0 with Hayden Birdsong struggling. And then they win the next game 5-4. So they've put up at least 5 runs in their first 2 games. We'll see what they do today because the question mark has always been that bullpen. But why am I feeling better about the bullpen? Let's talk about it on the other side. More Locked On Giants coming up. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience, the whole shebang-a-bang. If you already are looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now, not only can your pick cash, but it could also send you to the NBA Finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Baseball is back, and you can lock in by joining the Everydayer Club, which gets you ad-free episodes and access to our group chat on Discord. For the next week or so, you can use code SPRING for a free month. Go to LockedOnSFGiants@supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes. Next segment with you, and I promise I'm not trying to flip-flop this quickly. It's just more about maybe quantity than quality that's making me feel better about the Giants bullpen. They got a lot of dudes. And I'm starting to just play the numbers, right? You just want a bunch of bites at the apple. And the Giants have a ton of bites at the apple, including guys that aren't even ready to pitch yet. So I'm looking here, and I know that's how it is in spring training, but you're looking here at what the Giants had this past weekend and how many pitchers they were able to throw out there, okay? So in that first game, they throw Hayden Birdsong, Tyler Vogel, Blade Tidwell, Jose Butto, Michael Fulmer, Nick Margavicius, Caleb Killian, Juan Sanchez, Braxton Roxby, Nicholas Zwack. Now, all of these guys aren't going to be ready for the big leagues or aren't big league level. Don't get me wrong, but there are a lot of solid names in there that we have heard of and that we do feel as if they are MLB level pitchers. The next game, okay, the very next game, they throw Robbie Ray, and I'm not really counting the starters. This is about the bullpen, but Carson Seymour, Tristan Beck, Spencer Bivens, Reaver San Martin, Trent Harris, Wilkin Castillo, Hunter Dryden, William Bednar. There's a great article on William Bednar that we're going to get to tomorrow. John Michael Bertrand. Okay, so again, some of these names, if we eliminate some of the names that we're not really sure of, but Will Bednar, Spencer Bivens, Trent Harris, Carson Seymour, that's 5 right there. All right, and going back to the prior game, like I mentioned, you had we don't know what's going to happen with Birdsong, but Birdsong, Tyler Vogel, Blade Tidwell, Jose Buteau, Michael Fulmer. They did not pitch Joel Peguero. They did not pitch Gregory Santos. They did not pitch, who else did they not pitch? They did not pitch Carson Wisenhunt. Okay, they did not pitch Trevor McDonald. So there are a lot of names here that, again, even though we're not sure which one of these names are going to be ready for the big show, chances are you'd like to believe at least a couple of those names are going to show up. Then you're going to get Jason Foley back at some point within this season. So I know I was really worried about the bullpen, and I think I said I was more worried about the starting pitching than the bullpen. I was really worried about the pitching, and I still am, but seeing how many guys they have that have, either bounced around this league or made somewhat of a name in this league or are young talents, it does make me feel a little bit better about the Giants. Like I said, I don't know if they will necessarily all be able to figure it out, but you don't need all of them to figure it out. You already have the guy. I didn't mention Ryan Walker. Right now, Ryan Walker doesn't have to be the closer. He could be, somebody else. He could be 7th, 8th, something like that. So a lot of names here, a lot of arms that the Giants have brought in or already had. So it does feel like it's going to be by committee, and whatever the max amount of pitchers you can keep on that roster, the Giants are going to have that. And all you need is a couple guys to show up throughout the season. You got to show up again and again and again. And I'm not necessarily saying that they got to be lights out and be the best bullpen in baseball. You just have to put yourself in a position where the lineup, if they put you in a good spot, you're able to finish the deal or keep them in the mix. I think this Giants team is going to be able to hit. I do. I think you're going to be looking at, 4 to 6 runs a game for the most part. So if that bullpen, on top of obviously the starter, but if that bullpen can hold on to a 4-1 game or a 5-2 game, that's the type of stuff that the Giants weren't able to do last season, or the Giants weren't getting to 5 runs and they were losing 2-0, right? Those were the other situations. So I don't know. I saw, a lot of guys take the bump, take the mound this weekend, and it did make me feel a little bit better just about the amount of guys that they have, which doesn't make me necessarily able to tell you that these guys are all going to perform, but I'm looking at the names and I'm thinking these are pretty legit names and a good group to be able to boil down who will be the actual bullpen, and a couple guys that haven't even thrown yet. The Trevor McDonalds of the world, guys like that, they could come from the bullpen, right? They don't necessarily have to start. So you combine all of these things, and it does make you feel better about what the Giants could be able to do this season as far as holding on to leads or keeping the Giants in games before that offense gets hot and is able to kind of take that step and put the Giants in a good position. So I don't know, maybe I'm just on a high from spring training and the Giants being undefeated, but I don't know, it made me feel better about the bullpen situation because the Giants are currently working through a lot of different names that we should feel fairly comfortable with, on top of a couple more names that all you need is for them to take a small step forward and you'll be in a good spot. I don't know. Maybe I'm just delirious right now because the Giants won 2 spring training games and the peaks and valleys are peaking way more than the valleys right now. One more segment with you. All right, this is going to be a fun one because I might get ripped for this. This is what it's all about, though. I am going to reveal to you what my starting lineup would be, and I want you to hop in the comments, tell me where I'm right, tell me where I'm wrong, and give me your starting lineup as well. More Locked On Giants coming up. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Sponsored Jobs. Indeed, Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping for the right candidate that stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Last segment with you. And again, this is going to be a fun one. We are revealing my starting lineup. Okay, the order, the positions, all of it. Now, I didn't do a lefty versus righty one. I just did the main starting lineup. It's game 7 of the World Series. As of right now, this is what I would do. Or we should say opening day. This is what I would do. All right. Because we don't know who's going to be on the team by the time the World Series comes around. Never know. In-season trades, always a thing. But here is my lineup. All right. Batting leadoff. At second base, let's go with Luis Arias. That's right. We got the lefty, the 300 hitter, the batting champion leading off. Batting second, the left fielder, Elliot Ramos. I like Elliot Ramos' bat to ball skills. I think that he could steal some more bags than we've seen in the past. He's also got some pop as well. As we know, 20 plus home runs. I like him in the 2 spot. 3-hitter, Rafi Devers at first base. Need I say more? Y'all know I'm old school. Best hitter bats 3. I know some people would bat him 2. I wouldn't really argue with that either. I would just flip him with Elliot Ramos, but Devers is my 3-hitter. 4-hitter, Willy Adames. He broke the home run drought. Willie is my guy. He just strikes out a little too much to be a 2-hitter or a 3-hitter for me. He is more boom or bust. So because of that, I'm going Willy Adames in the 4-hole. Batting 5. I know some people want him to lead off, but I also like him in this spot as well. Matt Chapman at third base. Batting 6, the new center fielder for your San Francisco Giants. Let's go with Harrison Bader. I think he has a decent amount of pop, but he's hiding towards the bottom of the lineup because he doesn't need to be exposed like that coming off a good season. A lot of people don't think that he'll be able to replicate that, but batting 6 in this lineup, I think could hide him just enough. Speaking of hiding, let's hide the future of the Giants in the 7-hole. Bryce Eldridge. Bryce Eldridge is going to be your DH in Alan Stiles' Giants lineup. The 8-hitter, Patrick Bailey, the switch hitter and the best catcher in the game. And batting 9, a lot of people had this guy batting 6. A lot of people had this guy batting 5, all over the place. I'm old school. Give me Jung-Hoo Lee. He's going to sneak up on some people. Yes, let's do the double leadoff thing. A lot of people wanted to see him at leadoff. Well, if you're not going to see him at leadoff, you can see him at 9, which is a version of that. Hey, down the line, if Jung-Hoo Lee starts to show a lot, you could flip him and Luis Arias. I don't have a problem with that either, but for now, I would start it like this. Jung-Hoo Lee is going to be under the least amount of pressure. Batting 9 in right field. Okay, that's a lot different from leadoff in center field. Trust me, I would know. So I think this is great for him to sneak up on some teams. You know, he's not necessarily going to be thought about the same way he was thought about the last couple seasons just because of the other guys that the Giants have added. So give me Jung-Hoo Lee batting 9. That's what I would do for my lineup. Tell me where I was right. Tell me where I was wrong. By the way, speaking of lineups, here's the Giants lineup against the A's today. Luis Arias leading off. Rafi Devers hitting 2. Willy Adames hitting 3. Jung-Hoo Lee hitting 4. Why not? I guess I don't get it, but why not? Elliot Ramos hitting 5, Matt Chapman hitting 6, Drew Gilbert hitting 7, Harrison Bader hitting 8, and Daniel Susac hitting 9. So a couple similarities there. Obviously, Luis Arias, they have Devers at 2. Like I said, I don't have a problem with that. I just had him at 3. They got Elliot Ramos batting 5, Jung-Hoo Lee batting 4. I couldn't tell you. You know, I think if you're looking at this, though, they go lefty, lefty, then righty, lefty, righty, righty, lefty, righty. righty. So basically every two. Besides the very beginning, they have two lefties in Arias and Devers. So every two, they switch from two righties to a lefty. So hey, it's spring training. Why not? I do not anticipate Jung-Hoo Lee to be hitting four, but these days you never know. There could be some new analytic model that said that, hey, you really want a bat to ball guy at the four and you really don't need him to hit for too much power. Who knows these days? Anything is possible. So be sure to let me know what your lineup is and let me know if you like mine, if you think mine is terrible. I just want to see that one once, right? I just want to be able to say, see, I guessed the lineup at least once, because it just makes you feel like you know what's going on with the team. But who knows these days? Like I said, they really do like Adames in 2-3. That's what it seems like very, very early on. I just think he's a 4-5 guy to me. And Eldridge, he could eventually move up. But of course, we got to see what he's going to be able to do early on in his career here. So, a lot of different ways to look at it. Arias, maybe it's viewed as a little disrespectful to bat him 9. Maybe it is, but I'm going lead off with him. We'll see what happens with Jung-Hoo Lee. Maybe you bat Jung-Hoo Lee 2. Go real traditional, right? 2 smaller guys, 1-2 punch, and then that leads into Devers. I don't have a problem with that. I actually would maybe do that, but nowadays you need some pop in the 2 position. A lot of people have their best hitter at 2, so I put Elliot Ramos instead. But in my heart of hearts, I would go Arias maybe 2 or Arias 1, Jung-Hoo Lee 2, and then you go with Devers 3. That's old school. That's what I would do. But nowadays, that's not what it looks like. So tell me what your lineup is, and we can figure all that out. Thank you for watching Locked On Giants. Thank you for listening to Locked On Giants. Be sure to follow me on social media at @the_Styles Files, Styles with an I. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is for you. And don't forget to use that promo code SPRING for a free month. All right. You get access to the Discord. You get a lot of goodies. You get to connect with me, a lot of great stuff. So be sure to use that promo code while you still can. We'll see what the Giants do today. Will they go undefeated? Either way, we will be back tomorrow to continue to break all of this down. Thanks for watching. And until then, peace.